It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and this week's theme is called Born in the USA, and this is my summit guide. Let's go. All right, let's get straight into the cars. This week, the Summit bundle is going to cost you $607,000, and that'll come with the Mustang Dark Horse, the Chevrolet Camaro RS, and the Ford Focus RS. You're going to need a couple of additional vehicles, and I recommend this guy right here, the SRT Demon Awaken Edition. If you have it, that's going to be great for these drag race events. I also recommend the Charger SRT Hellcat Red Eye Wide Body. This is going to be great for the Escape, and then you'll need a dragster as well. I recommend either the Viper SRT 10 or the Proto Hup 1. Now, part sets are going to be extremely important for a lot of like the Feats specifically, but also the races. So in the beginning of each event, I'll just let you know what part set you should be using. All right, the rewards this week are $50,000 for bronze, 20,000 spare parts for silver, and then a Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Road Force 1 edition, Road Force 1 edition, and that's going to be the gold one. That's basically a free car. And then the platinum reward is the Patriot Lines tire. So that's what you got for this week. Here are the pro settings for all of the cars that I've got, and then we'll move on to the events. All right, the first event is with the loaned Ford Focus RS. This event has a couple of like different cuts in it, so we'll just get straight to those. There's a couple of like little NOS tips as well, so I'll talk about those as we get to that on the course. Here we go. So for this first part, you're going to want to save up your NOS. You want to use it on the uphill after a couple of turns here. So we go here on this right-hander. This is a third gear turn if you can. Sometimes you slip and hit the wall. It's okay as long as you don't hit it super hard. This is where you want to use your NOS going up this hill. Wait until you get to 6th gear to use a bunch. Blast in 6th, but don't use all of it. All right, that's the key. You're going to do that both laps. All right, let's go forward. This is a gutter turn here. That's self-explanatory. Here at this checkpoint, you're going to cut to the left. What you're looking for is bushes. So you go just to the left of this, and then you see this little U. I'm going to zoom in on the video here. There's a little U shape in the bushes. This is where it's kind of clear. That's what you're shooting for. Let's see if I hit it on this one. I did. See this little thing right here? These are big bushes here. This slows you down. You want to go right in the middle. Then you're going to aim to the left of this wall here. I hit it on accident. I don't want you to do that. Don't hit it. There's a little jump right before it. Use NOS on that jump. Then use NOS when you're getting out of it as well. Here's where you want to blast a bunch when you get to 6th. See, I'm in 6th gear. Use a bunch of NOS here on the backside, but don't use all of it. Just use a bunch. You want it to recover by the time you get down the hill. On this next turn here on the left, you're going to cut it right after this telephone pole, and then control yourself for this turn. Make sure you're in the gutter here. It's okay if you tap the wall a little. You won't lose a lot of speed. Just make sure you're doing it, you know, not super hard. All right, after you get through this, little bits of taps of NOS here until you get to 6th, then a little bit bigger of a jump in NOS, but you want to make sure you have NOS for the final straight as well. So we go around here, nothing tricky. Final straight here. This is where it comes and the new lap starts. Make sure you've got enough, about half when you get to the finish line. That's kind of it. On the final lap, obviously, you blast it towards the finish line. All right, let's move on. All right, the next event is a drag event. This is with a loaned SRT4 Challenger, excuse me. And I recommend doing this with a friend. This is going to be way easier. You're going to be able to knock off a bunch of seconds if you do it with a friend. However, if you don't have a friend to do with, not really a problem. We knocked off about 3 or 4 tenths of a second. I ran an 8, I think it was an 8.85 or something like that, but we ran it in like a little bit less than that, like an 8.5. So we knocked off like 3 tenths of a second. It's only going to mean a couple of thousand points in terms of the summit. So if you can do this solo, it's okay. But with a slipstream partner, you have the ability to go really fast. Anyway, there's a key to the NOS management. There's a key to the shifts as well. And there's a key to the start. So let's start with the start. So at the start, you're going to be doing the burnout. Obviously, you want to keep the burnout gauge in the little green section when the timer is done. So basically, when the timer's up, it should be in the green. Now, you're going to have the lights. Basically, you're looking for this. You want to time it in your head, the timing of these red lights. This green one is slightly longer, but what you want to do is hit the gas like a split second before this green goes green. So here's what it looks like. Let me back it up just a little bit. Here's what it looks like. So notice how I was on the, it's really hard to see, but I was on the gas, on the trigger slightly before. This gave me a very, very good start. It was a perfect burn and it was a perfect start. Notice on the bottom it says perfect start. You got to get the perfect start. The next thing is you need to hit the perfect shifts. So as you're going down the drag strip here, every shift needs to be perfect. Now on this particular run, I missed the third shift into third gear. I missed it. It was a good shift instead of perfect. And then he actually went in front of me, which helps in slipstream. Ended up getting us a better time because of that. So I missed it slightly. The key went in front because he got a perfect shift. And then we slipstream together to get a good time. And you nos when you hit fourth. That's when you nos. So make sure you're nosing right after you shift to fourth, then you nos. Here's what it looks like. Slipstream takes over. And there it is, an 8.5, which is a really good run. Like that's top notch. I think you can go a little faster if we like time the nos perfectly, but that's what we did. So let's move on. All right, the third event is the one I recommend, using the Hellcat Red Eye wide body. This car is very good for this event. It's going to be the top of the leaderboards, and it's going to be the fastest car for this event. Anyways, just a little explanation. If you haven't played this type of an event before, you need to wait until these turn pink. Once they turn, or red, whatever color this is for you, once this turns pink or red, then you hit the trigger and it gives you that NOS bar. You see it on the left here. Then the next one will go. Once it turns pink, you hit the trigger and it gives you your second bar of NOS, and then you do the same thing with the third one. That's how you get full NOS. Now, to get a perfect start on this event, it's the same thing with the go. Right when the go turns whatever color it is, red or pink, then you hit the gas on that. You don't touch the gas before that. If you touch it before that, you're going to get a bad start. So it looks like this. That's a perfect start. You know it because this turns blue. Okay. Once you hit the perfect start, notice it hasn't even been like 0.6 of a second. I'm already in third gear. So when you start, just immediately shift up because it's giving you a boost because of that perfect start. So you need to get into third or fourth right away. I shift almost, I think, to 6th or 7th on this straight. Right as I get the perfect start, I'm also tapping the NOS. Okay. So here's the NOS, right? And now I'm in 5th. NOS still 6th on this one. And then I go to 7th right after the, I could have went to 7th actually, but I go to 7th right after those tires. As soon as I stabilize the car, I'm hitting the NOS again for the second NOS, and I'm in 8th. This is going to get me the top speed here. Got to keep the car on the course. I'm at 241, right? 233. I'm doing very, very well here. And then you're going to hit the NOS one more time on this corner here because you lose a little bit of speed. So you want to hit it there. And then this gives you, look at you, almost up to 260 in this car. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And so there you go. And that's a 32. Oh, that's a 30. That's a 33 even. Anyway, I did it again later and it was a 32 something. But the structure of this is basically the same. I think actually on my 32 run, I shifted to 7th earlier on that first start. So anyways, that's what you got to do. And I just realized that I wasn't talking about the parts. If it's one of these like drag events, you're going to want pure and frenetic. So you're going to need that. Same thing with the drag event. Well, this drag event, this first one was a lone vehicle, so you don't really have parts on that. And the first event was actually a lone vehicle as well, so you don't have parts on that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, for a non-loaned event, racing is always nitro chemist with pure and extra pump. This particular event, because it wasn't loaned, you need pure and frenetic for your parts. And then I'll talk about the other ones when we get to it. Let's move on, dude. All right, the next event is with the Dark Horse. So for this one, I do recommend a slipstream partner. You can knock off like 4 seconds if you're good with a slipstream partner. Hopefully you guys can work together really well and stay close to each other. You need to be, similar skill. But there's a lot going into this race. So let me get to the shortcuts here. Let's fast forward a little bit. All right, here we got the Simg skip at 22%. You're aiming for that flag right there. This is the last flag in this line. Aim for that flag. When you're in the air, you turn the car a little. See how I turn the car a little bit? Because you want to go through those checkpoints. And it jumps again. You're using NOS in the air every time. This one here, you can cut the flag to the left. You do not have to go inside those flags. And you want to use NOS to stay at top speed. The corner coming up down here is a cut. So go into 4th. Cut the corner. And then you're going to cut the very next corner as well. Once you round this turn here, go ahead and cut this corner. And if we fast forward, there's a cut here near the airplane. What you're looking for is a couple of big trees and basically the shopping mall sign and this sign that you can't really see. You're going to go in there. Go right in here. across the parking lot, and then get your NOS going and try to get to top speed again. Hopefully your slipstream partner can follow you. All right, let's move forward. There's another cut down here. Let's see. Go this way. Turn right. Okay, right up here. Okay, so at 62%, you're going to be going to the right. Now, there's a couple of things you need to pay attention to. Number one, there's two trees. There's this tree and this tree. You got to go in between them. Okay, in between them or to the right of this tree. I always went left just because that's what we did. But I think it could be faster if you go right a little bit. But if you go too far right, there's rocks inside the little water crossing here. So anyway, I split the trees. It's the easiest line. It's the best line. You go right in between here. See the rocks on the right side? You go too far right, you're gonna hit those. Anyways, once you get to this water, you're gonna turn the car a little bit to the right and go to the right. That's it. That was the cut. It's a tough cut, but if you get it right, you guys are gonna save some time. Anyway, I think that's the only cut, the last cut we have. I think I cut a corner up here right about this one here at 87%. I cut this corner just to save a little time. There's no breakables, so you don't lose speed going through there. But that's it. That's the whole thing. So anyways, let's move on. All right, the next event is with the Ford Focus RS. And again, on this one, you're going to want Nitro Chemist. It's a race. Nitro Chemist, Pure, and Extra Pump. Now, for this one, there's a couple of little tricks that you need to know. There's a couple of visual cues. Right here on this turn, you're going to make a right near the trees. You're going to do that every single lap. You can break through those walls. It's not a problem. On this one, you're going to try to stay as close to this house as possible when you make this turn. You also want to be in 5th or 6th so that you can control your car across the bumpiness. Also, direct mode does help on that one. Same thing here. You want to get as close to this car as possible. Notice how close I got to this. I didn't hit it, but almost. And then here, you're going to want to get into 6th early and use a lot of NOS because there's not really a lot of places on this course where you can use NOS. You can cut that corner there and this corner here. Then you're going to control the car a little bit here because you don't want to end up in this sidewalk here. And I'll show you why in just a second. Then you can cut here, stay on the sidewalk, cut again, and then use go into 6th gear and NOS to the finish line. You're going to do that every single lap. But here's what happens if you decide to go into this sidewalk here. Let me show you what happens. So you go wide, you hit this sidewalk here, and guess what happens? Boop. All right, so just try to stay away from that sidewalk. Anyways, let's move on. All right, the last event is another one of these ones here. Little drag races. Same thing. Once it turns pink, hit the button and get the NOS. You're going to do the same thing you did with the last one, though. And when this go turns the color, then you go and get your perfect start. Shift up almost immediately to 2nd and 3rd. Use NOS right away. You're going to use another NOS right away as well. And then the last spot to use the NOS is going to be after one of these like S-bends. So let me get to that. So hang out here and then you go this way. This is the right-hander here at 40%. And then you have a left-hander here. During the middle of this turn, you can go ahead and use the NOS and get yourself back up to top speed. And that's kind of what you want to do. Now, you can probably slipstream this, but when you do this in a crew, it's completely broken. One of you guys is not going to have NOS, and the other one is. It's very weird. One gets to start early, but it doesn't get to do the like NOS mechanic. So it's kind of strange, and you can kind of slip each other, but it's weird. I know it's possible, and I know you can get a better time, but it is a little bit strange. So just do it solo because you can get a good time solo anyway. So all right, let's move on to the feats. All right, for the escape, I recommend using not this one, but the do I have a clip of using it? I don't. This is when I use the what is it called, the Tusk edition, the Husk edition. I can't remember which one this is. This is the Dodge Charger Husk or Tusk edition. You can use this. So this is the path that I recommend if you're solo, which is to go straight. Let me back up so you can see the minimap. You go straight here instead of jumping on the highway. If you're solo, I do that. If you have a slipstream partner, then I would say get on the highway because the potential for the highway is more, but you can easily get it with, you know, not as big of a pace. You can get more if you have left with you know, solo. So if you're good with your slipstream partner, go right. Anyways, it's a really easy one. You can kind of use whatever one of these dodges that you want, but I recommend for sure the red eye, the Hellcat red eye wide body, which is this guy here. So this one is the one I definitely recommend. I'm getting ready to do it here. Another little quick tip is when you're approaching the you can use all your NOS and then press start and then back out of the menu to get a full tank of NOS again. So see, I'm doing that a couple of times just to get a full tank of NOS leading up to it. You can do that if you'd like. That kind of helps with your speed as well. So anyways, let's move on. All right, the speed trap is a little bit funky this week. This is the direction that you want to go in. You're going to be using a drag car. For parts, you need Nitro Chemist with Pure and Frenetic. Those are the ones you want to have. That's going to give you the best, you know, push for the car. Those drag cars, you get one and done nitrous. So you hit the nitrous button and it uses the entire tank, which is really good for Frenetic. So you want to make sure you have that Nitro Chemist, Pure, and Frenetic. If you don't have that, you need a guide for parts. I have a parts guide linked in the description down below. You can see how to get drag parts. It is not very fun, I'll be honest with you, but if you want to max this out, then this is the way that you need to do it. Anyways, this is the procedure here. And you're just going to want to just rewind until you get it straight. Just keep going. Hit the NOS when you get into 5th gear and just rewind. Just hit the NOS, rewind until you get a straight shot at the thing and you get a decent score. I got 345. It's not the best. There's some that are like in the, like, I think 390 or something like that. And you can do it with a friend as well. But I would say this is plenty. 151's enough. Anyways, let's move on. And finally, for the slalom, what you need is a score breaker set of parts with skilled and pure as your affixes. And then just make sure you don't miss any gates. If you don't miss any gates, you're going to get a full score. It doesn't really matter how fast you do it. Even look here, I almost missed this gate. I still just slowed down and got it. And then I'm still going to get a decent score. Anyways, it's easy. You just want score breaker parts with skilled and pure as your affix, and you're good to go. And this is going to be, I think, Street 2. So you should have that for Street 2 if you've been grinding. If not, I would definitely get to it. And again, a parts guide is linked in the description if you need it. All right, here are my final scores. If you have any questions about this, you can send me a message on Instagram or Discord. I read every single message that comes my way. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.